What's up, gang? Okay, sorry that didn't work out in class today, but I'm going to explain a little bit of what we missed. If you want to just pull up the PowerPoint while I talk about this, that would just probably help you out a bunch just because I'm on my iPad and I couldn't figure out how to share my screen with it. But basically, when you get to the first slide of the anticodons, so it should be right after the first picture with like the squares going onto the line. Should talk about anticodons. So basically, the anticodons, those are attaching to a gene. Those anticodons are copies of the template strand. So tRNA is a copy of the template strand of RNA, kind of. It's opposite to it. So it'll attract to it, and then it'll latch on and it'll release an amino acid. So that's kind of what's going on there. But the big thing that we missed is the mutations. And so I'm going to go over that with you guys real quick. So you've got a couple kinds of mutations. You've got missense, nonsense, silent, and frame shift. So silent mutations, if you look at like the amino acid table, so you'll notice that like for VAL, for example, you've got 4 different types of amino acids that can, or like 4 different types of nucleotides that can code for the amino acid VAL, right? So you've got ALA, or not ALA, you've got GUC, GUG, GUA, and GUU, right? And those all code for valine. And so if you were to sub out the last letter and change it by 1, so if it was GUA or GUC or GUG or GUU, it would all lead to the same thing. Now, if my DNA was supposed to code for a GUG is the end product where you'd get valine, and it ends up there's a mistake somewhere along the way and I end up with a GUC, I'm still going to end up with valine. So it's a mutation, but it's silent. So you don't really notice a difference in the end product, right? So that's a silent mutation. Those are the least harmful, obviously, because you don't even know that anything happened unless you look at the genetic code, because the end product is the exact same. The next mutation, though, is a missense mutation. A missense mutation is a little bit more tricky. Those are nasty. Because in missense mutations, it's going to take that last letter and it's going to change it by 1, but it's going to alter the gene that or the amino acid that you get. And so on the slide, I think it gives an example. This is like the 4th to last slide or something like that. It gives an example of like UAG and UAC, I want to say. And one of them codes for an amino acid. Let's just say it's the amino acid T. I can't remember what it is off the top of my head. The other one, it's just like codes for R or something like that. So it's off, but only on that amino acid. So that amino acid is different. It's harmful. It's probably like not the most harmful thing ever because you're only 1 off on your whole genetic code. But it changes that amino acid. So it's a different amino acid in your protein now. And so the protein won't be the same as the body needs and asked for. So it's mutation. So missense, the way I remember that one, I think like misstep, like if I'm walking on a path and I take like a misstep, like I accidentally step in the wrong place, like I'm still walking mostly straight, but I just kind of stumbled once, right? So missense is just one amino acid that's off because one of the codes was different. Now the next 2 are like a little bit more intense with their mutations. They do a lot more damage. So nonsense mutations do quite a bit of damage. So you'll notice on that like big amino acid coding table that you use to figure out what every codon means, like what it codes for, you'll notice on that one, there was something on there like there's like 3 different ways to make a stop codon. So if you have a mutation that makes a stop codon early, that's actually going to be super bad because it's going to stop your DNA from, it's going to stop the transcription from continuing, right? So you're only going to get half or 3/4 or maybe even like a couple of the amino acids that you were supposed to get because you're just missing so much, right? So that's a nonsense mutation. You have a stop codon randomly inserted in. It stops the production for the rest of the gene. The last one's called a frame shift mutation. I remember this one. There was one time in the testing center that I was only like 6, it was only like 6 questions after, but like, you know when you have a really hard question in the testing center, you're just like, oh, this one sucks. I'm just going to go to the next question. So I did that, but like I skipped like the 5th question, then I filled in 6 on 5, and then 7 on 6, and 8 on 7. And I didn't notice until like question 12. And I was like, oh, shoot. Like, that would have been bad because I would have gotten everything wrong, right? Like, even if the answers were right, it would have been wrong. And frame shifts in DNA is like the same thing. Like, if you were to add in a nucleotide or take a nucleotide away, it doesn't matter if the code is right. It's going to read it one off for the rest of the thing. It's going to change your entire protein sequence. So those ones are horrible. Those ones, like, cause a ton of damage. So just to recap, so your 4 types of damage, 4 types. 1, silent, doesn't do anything. You don't even know it's there. They change the last codon, and it still gives you the same final product. 2 is missense. Missense is like, it only changes one of the DNAs, or the proteins that it codes for. So if it's supposed to code for T, it's going to code for V, but everything else is the same. Nonsense puts a stop codon there in the middle of it, and frame shift shifts the entire thing by 1 by either adding or taking away one of the nucleotides. I hope that helps. Yeah, I'm so sorry for how that went. Shout out to Connor for real for figuring out the second question. But yeah, if you need office hours, I'll be in my office hours from 2 to 4 today. And then, yeah, you guys have my email. If I don't respond on my email, then I don't know. That's on me. I'll respond. But anyways, good luck. You guys are going to kill it. Yeah.